Coinbase, the biggest cryptocurrency corporation in the world, has been under criticism, and this has XRP Ripple owners scared. Someone with a lot of XRP might start a new case, and Coinbase could be their main target. Yet industry watchers aren't worried because XRP Ripple has the potential to go as to almost $200, 0 cents so far this month. To whom do we attribute our confidence? I don't know what to do. Let's move step by step. Prepare to be amazed by this film. It seems like Coinbase is in the middle of another legal battle. A new lawsuit has been launched against the Bitcoin exchange by Oregon's Attorney General, Dan Rayfield. The lawsuit claims that the exchange sold. The SEC has been more lenient in its crypto regulatory enforcement, but it still failed to properly screen high-risk assets for clients' protection and unregistered stocks to Oregon residents. In addition to renewing existing disagreements and worries within the business, the lawsuit from Oregon seems to be picking up where the federal authorities left off. However, there are other relevant issues to consider as well. For example, there is no mention of XRP, the cryptocurrency that was key to a major court victory for cryptocurrencies. When XRP is sold to the public on platforms, Judge Aneli Cetras said in July 2023 that it is not necessarily a security. With this decision, the SEC's case against Ripple was much diminished, and the cryptocurrency community was filled with optimism that the court is not cited in the Oregon action against Coinbase, despite the fact that it could be a landmark ruling that impacts future cases of a similar kind. Using Section 9 of the lawsuit as an example, the chief legal officer of Coinbase, Paul Grewal, said it directly, asserting that the case was just the SEC repeating itself. While he left out Torey's decision, he was forthright about the AG's efforts to bring back regulation by enforcement, a tactic that the SEC is dumping. According to him, the complaint goes so far as to accuse the previous director of the SEC of being a crypto lobbyist, all the while ignoring important court decisions that undermine their case. It seems like this is more than just an error. This was done on purpose. The hard work that Ripple has put in could be quietly undone if other politicians and regulators do the same. This is due to the fact that the XRP case has gone unnoticed by the Oregon AG's office, thereby erasing one of the rare instances where a court has rejected the notion that all crypto assets are stocks, a cryptocurrency exchange. Might have to make tough choices to protect itself, like taking XRP off the platform again. This would hurt the XRP economy, which is trying to grow internationally, and taking it off one of the biggest U.S. markets would hurt its reputation right when it needs to build trust. After XRP was removed during the first case by Coinbase, it was just restored back. Legal wins appear to be meaningless if officials opt to disregard them, which would upset everyone and be a symptom of a bigger problem if the SEC were to pull it again. It's almost comical that the state level is behaving as if the ruling never happened, following a long court struggle to define XRP's position. A threat to the rule of law exists when decisions of courts are easily disregarded in lawsuits. What kind of signal is this sending to other projects that are also trying to deal with the complex regulatory landscape? It's clear that Coinbase is determined to succeed, and as Grew mentioned, the firm is confident in its compliance with all regulations and facts. The only question is, will it succeed, keep XRP under scrutiny, or stop backing a coin that authorities will surely see as dangerous? There is good reason for XRP users to be worried and resolute regardless of the court's decision. However, things take a strange turn here, since Bitcoin experts aren't really paying attention. The victory of Ripple is still important. What is important is that it be remembered and protected. Despite all the examples and troubles that have been reported, many people think that this storm is just the beginning of something far bigger for XRP. You aren't ready for the future of XRP, therefore you won't believe what they say, and they see opportunities instead of dangers. The Bitcoin research firm Aminex published an article. Levi, whose remarks have gone viral, claims that XRP might help you become a multimillionaire, which would make you the first person in your group to do this. You won't believe it until you hear it, but there's actually a rationale behind the mayhem. Some think XRP is getting lucky like never before, which is a big reason why the world's financial environment is changing. As talk of interest rate reductions heats up and rates start to fall, assets like XRP will get a lot more attention and a lot will change. Rate cuts are on the horizon and XRP's value might skyrocket. XRP with Pulse's tweet pointing to what might be a major flood of cash into the cryptocurrency industry. We can see that historical analogies do give us optimism, even though they don't necessarily forecast the future. Who was also associated with the XRP group, brought up an important point in 2014 that has to be addressed. This brings us to the most daring claim of all. A famous figure in the XRP community named Remy Relief recently made headlines by predicting that XRP might reach $1,200.00, a significant increase from $2.00 in 2012. Why isn't XRP following suit? Given that XRP is still at $2.00, the idea of reaching $1,200.00 before the year closes seemed ridiculous at first. A staggering 56.0% increase in price would result from reaching that objective. Still, global infrastructure is at the heart of Relief's case, not only market hype. SWIFT, a global financial messaging system, is one of the topics he covers. Its price is roughly $5.00 daily, or $1.25 quadrillion each year. The value of XRP might be drastically impacted if even a small fraction of that amount could be received by Ripple or its connection with digital currency systems used by central banks. The fact that the business insists this is possible, even without tokenization platforms or ETF swaps, worries me. It makes me wonder what might transpire if those monetary instruments were to be employed. Let's define exchange-traded fund ETF for a second. One way to invest in the stock market is through an exchange-traded fund ETF. It's a low-risk alternative to buying and keeping an asset that individual investors and big institutions can use. The fact that Bitcoin is backed by an ETF adds legitimacy to the cryptocurrency. While most people argue about who's more righteous, regulators and employees of a